Today on the Topping Show, Elon Musk retweet of a grow pair for a cure for liberalism goes viral. Federal government may buy armored cars from Tesla. University of Michigan went viral spending $13.7 million on DEI salaries in 1 year. Porsche is cutting their EV jobs as they pivot back to the good old internal combustion engine platform. Chevron to lay off nearly 20% of their workforce. And rope is being recalled because it has a tendency to fray and break, much to the detriment of Hillary Clinton. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. And yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Also having our first Q&A live stream is going to be February 22nd at 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it Central Time. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Porsche cutting some of their EV jobs because the EV demand is dwindling. All 18 prospective clients will be utterly sad they can't get a Porsche in the EV platform. I'm kidding. There's 20 maybe that want that. Now, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com. Specifically, you have good old Chris Smith over there, consistently a good writer, saying, quote, Porsche is cutting a bunch of jobs over weak EV demand. Also, slumping sales in China, or as we read it these days, China, aren't helping either. Now, here's actually one of the good things that Porsche and the Volkswagen Group does make, one of their iconic 911s. Or maybe it's a Cayman. I'm an aficionado, but not to the point where I could tell which, skeleton that is as they're starting to assemble it in the photo. But nevertheless, Chris says, quote, it's no secret that Volkswagen Group is having a rough time right now. Oh yeah, that is tough to say the least. The CFO of Volkswagen said that, now specifically the Volkswagen brand of the Volkswagen Group, has about a year left before it's not financially viable anymore, and the other cars aren't selling great. But the crown jewel of the Volkswagen Group, some people might like the Lamborghini or the Bugatti or Ducati. Personally, the portfolio, or Audi. Personally, I think Porsche is the best, partially because it's got 3 pedals, also known as a manual transmission option for their top cool vehicles. Now, he continues saying, quote, with 2024 faded into the rear view mirror and all kinds of uncertainty facing automakers for the future, Porsche, one of VW's most important brands, is looking to downsize considerably. Important also means profitable. Again, luxury cars and luxury SUVs, really good profit margins. Small entry-level vehicles, not really great. Mostly a loss leader get you involved with the brand. But there's a reason why Ford and Chevy really don't make any entry-level small cars these days. They lose money on them. Now, they say that, quote, the automaker is planning to cut 1,900 jobs over the next few years at various locations throughout Germany, according to Reuters. Citing a company spokesperson, the report states that Porsche's previous reduction plan simply wasn't sufficient enough. Last year, the sports car maker didn't renew the contract for 1,500 fixed-term workers, and 500 more are about to end. New plan will, quote, cut around 1,900 jobs across the entire company in the coming years. And now you can see the Porsche 911 Dakar, which is a cool concept, and well, it's not a concept, they make it. It's a cool idea, but it's their off-road Porsche 911, which I can't help but think 1% of all produced will ever actually go off-road and not just be a pavement queen. Maybe 2% if we're fortunate. Lamborghini does the same thing. They have a fun little off-road car, which I'm sure like 1 or 2% will actually go off-road. But I appreciate them, doing something to make us smile and something different. Now, granted, different they've done historically too, so it's not that radical. Now, they say, quote, attention will fall on Porsche's primary facilities in and around Stuttgart. Ideally, the company hopes to accomplish the cuts without forced layoffs, which, and that's the iconic location. So iconic, it's in the emblem of the Porsche badge. Now, they say that buyout packages and early retirements will play a major factor. Porsche will also be frugal when it comes to filling out new roles. Workers at the large factory in Stuttgart, and I should know this because I love Porsche. I hope I don't want someday. Not that I don't love my Honda, but can't pronounce this yet. Zuffenhausen, maybe? I'll give myself 3% chance odds I got that right. And its research facility in, oh geez Louise, Wiesenschach. Worcestershire? I don't know I don't know how to pronounce that one. That'll give myself 0% odds of getting it right. I just know that it's also this fancy package you can buy on the 911 to up. I think it's like a $50,000 option for that one. It looks cool. And it's performance too. Those locations will bear a brunt of the cuts, they say. News comes not long after VW's struggle to not close factories in Germany, something that hasn't happened or at all since the company's history. Unfortunately, or ultimately, a deal. Again, click that subscribe button. I have that theory that when I first started the show, no subscribers, well, maybe family. And I stuttered terribly, spoke faster than Ben Shapiro, and stumbled over my words more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. But as I slowly but surely grown the channel and slowly but surely gotten more subscribers, I become better at speaking. Yeah, granted, some people might just argue it's a modicum of improvement, barely anything at all, but I would argue a statistical improvement nevertheless. So if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. And actually, tell your friends and tell your enemies. You never know. It might piss them off so much they do something entertaining or mildly entertaining, which at least would, be a fun curveball in life if they hate the show that much and you send it to them. Or perhaps they become so enamored with your great recommendation, they love the show, and thereby your enemies become your friends. At the end of the day, at least it makes it for a funny story. And isn't that half of life? But I partially digress. Again, appreciate you clicking that button and your patience as I make the show better and better in theory every day. Now they say, quote, ultimately, a deal was struck to keep the lights on at all current plants in return for no wage increases for workers until 2031. However, job cuts at VW could top, 35,000 before all is said and done. A slump in EV sales throughout Europe and fierce competition from China has several automakers reviewing their bottom lines. Yeah, aka they can't compete with EVs in China. BYD is going to mass produce, well, they already are mass producing EVs at such a price point, you can't compete with them. Just like how most electronics are, unfortunately, or better or worse, they're made in China. It's because they can copy, paste, and rip off technologies faster, more efficiently than anyone else, and mass produce the crap out of it. And they don't really have any respect for intellectual property over there. So, competing with them in the automotive market for EVs, even Tesla's struggling, and they're losing ground to BYD. So, I don't blame Porsche exclusively for them struggling with the EVs. As you have decreased customer demand, but also the competition. The competition is fierce. That big panda is growing. I suspect without major tariffs in all countries against BYD, they're going to be one of the biggest default winners of EVs. And they do have some good tech, don't get me wrong. Now they say that Porsche's global sales fell 3% last year, but sales in China tumbled 28%, which not good because although they were rip off your technology, could at least make some money in the short term, and it's one of the largest markets on the planet. Now, they also say, as of course, there's considerable uncertainty at the automotive maker right now with regard to tariffs and trade wars stemming from Trump's administration. In short, nobody knows what the hell is going on right now or what might happen in the future, which is not great for auto communities or auto companies because when you look at, if you want to make a new car, it's like a $750 million gamble. Man, that's like the average minimum for a new car these days in terms of research, development, setting up the infrastructure, the tooling. It's a pretty penny to say the least. Well, a vintage pretty penny, which is made of copper. Modern pennies are crap zinc, but nevertheless, a pretty vintage penny. And also, Porsche is wondering, do we make the iconic 911 in Texas, where they may expand the Volkswagen facility in Tennessee, which some purists would say sacrilege to have an iconic 911. I almost said 1911. I'm thinking of America, but an iconic 911 made in the U.S. versus, the badge on every Porsche literally says Stuttgart. I feel like it should be made there as much as I'm a big made in the USA. I mean, shoot, nearly everything I own and I make is made in America. But yeah, something about 911, I just think should be made in Germany. But that's another thing. Trump could put a 50% tariff or more on them. What I suspect, not to speculate too much, but Trump is a man who likes to make deals. I suspect what he might do with companies like Volkswagen, which again, the Volkswagen Group has a big portfolio, they might do something to the effect of Volkswagen will say, hey, Trump, we want to help make America great again, make more local grassroots manufacturing. What if we make 3 more models of the Volkswagen or the VW branded vehicles in Tennessee? We expand that factory out. And then you allow some exceptions for the 911, the Cayman, which are much lower volume units. And that way you still preserve the Porsche brand of the portfolio. Now, they do make some Porsches in other areas, but to me, there's something to about the allure of Germany. And yes, I know Mercedes, all German brands have U.S. facilities as well. But when we look at VW, Volkswagen, the VW brand and that part of the portfolio, that one does have much more factories globally. So I suspect if there comes to be a trade agreement, I would guess that would be a win-win type of negotiation. Now, it is sad a lot of people are losing their jobs right now. At Porsche, there's a lot of competitors, so hopefully they find gainful employment somewhere else. But I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, and again, demand for EV, the adoption rate is decreasing. As much as I'm not a fan of hybrids, that is a fastest growing consumer adoption category in the United States for our specific sales. Everything should have 3 pedals as a main transmission. That's what I think, but I know I'm an outlier in that regard. So it's unfortunate that they're having some layoffs. Hopefully, they get back on their feet and they're able to find some gainful employment. So not too surprising, but still a bit of sad news out of Porsche. And let me know, again, they do have a couple EVs. I know 18 people bought them. People like Bill Gates, who is very respected. Everyone likes him. Not so much, but let me know. Do you know anyone who actually bought a Porsche EV? And do you think this is a step in the right direction? Let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news is Chevron to lay off nearly 20% of their workforce, which is quite a bit to say the least. Now, Chevron is one of the oldest and probably biggest well-known oil companies in the world. Now, this comes to us also thanks to Fox Business, which somehow still in business. As much as the Murdoch family has destroyed that brand, it's somehow still around. Probably on par with CNN business, which again, somehow still in business. Don't know how though. Now, specifically, this is credited to Allison Murphy, who's a writer there. They say, quote, Chevron is laying off up to 20% of their workforce. The vice chair says, quote, responsible leadership requires taking steps to improve long-term competitiveness in our industry, which has quite a reduction in headcount. There you can see the iconic Chevron logo, which, A+ for marketing. Not only is their name the Chevron, but their logo is in fact of the Chevron shape, which I'm pretty sure the average person only knows the Chevron shape because of the Churchcon ACOG. But I partially digress. Diving into the actual article, they say, quote, Chevron is seeking to trim its headcount by a sizable amount. The company, an energy giant, will lay off 15 to 20% of workers in a bid to simplify our organizational structure faster and more efficiently and position the company for stronger long-term competitiveness. That, according to Vice Chairman Mark Nelson, they say that Chevron's global headcount at the end of 2023 consisted of more than 40,200 non-service station employees and nearly 5,400 service station workers, according to the most recent annual report, which is quite a few to say the least. Nelson said the company, quote, finished most of its layoffs within this year before 2026 end. Before 2026 end, he continued saying, quote, we do not take these actions lightly and will support our employees through the transition, but reasonable leadership requires we take these steps to improve the competitiveness, yada, yada, yada. They say, quote, the energy giant aims to shrink the structural cost through the layoffs and other actions by $2 to $3 billion before 2027. CFO Eimer Boner said in November, when the company released its third quarter financial results, that Chevron aimed to achieve the level of savings. She indicated the company would give updates through 2025. According to Nelson's statement, the energy giant is, quote, optimizing its portfolio, leveraging technology to enhance productivity, and changing how and where work is performed, including the expanded use of global centers. Which, at least, their stock is a pretty penny. It's $155 per share. Again, not financial advice. He also said that the organization structure changes that Chevron will quote, improve standardization, centralization, efficiency, and results, unlocking new growth potential and helping Chevron drive industry-leading performance now and into the future, unquote. Which, did he just put into ChatGPT, me sound smart for investor? Like, that part of it is true, but it's also the most cookie-cutter statement you see from any business when they're doing layoffs. They say the news comes nearly 2 weeks after the energy giant disclosed its fourth quarter earnings. Chevron generated, geez Louise, $52.2 billion in total revenue and nearly $3.4 billion in net income in the fourth quarter, which also shows people think they're very profitable. And again, billions of dollars that's a lot of money, but yeah, that's a lot of expenses. $52.2 billion in revenue and net income $3.24 billion, which people always think oil companies, don't get me wrong, they make money in good times, but it is kind of that funny perception. The public thinks they're more profitable than they are. Nothing is more profitable than Big Pharma. Their profit margins are like 50 to 60%. Talk about gross margins being gross. Pun obviously intended. They say, quote, over the entirety of 2024, the company saw revenues of $202.79 billion and net income of $17.66 billion, with the latter of the two figures marking a 17.35% drop year over year. The company's global net oil equivalent production posted a 7% increase year over year. CEO Mike Wirth said the company is, quote, in a strong position today with near-term catalysts that are expected to drive the company into even better performance in 2025 and 2026. Which, yeah, I suspect, with Trump back in office, he's going to release more and more permissions to drill on federal lands. There's a big discrepancy where people are saying, oh yeah, Biden's giving out all these permits. There's a lot of permits needed to actually, extract oil out of the ground. And spoiler alert, just because you give someone permission to be on the land doesn't mean you have permission to drill and process and do all that. So there's funny how the media framed things during the last administration, but nevertheless, hopefully, someday we'll get gas to be as cheap as possible. I mean, I read a lot of vintage books about, business founders. They talk about, oh yeah, I filled up my car for, 18 cents a gallon. I'm like, oh geez. Granted, there's also before hyperinflation too, but unfortunately, sounds like there's going to be more and more layoffs of Chevron. I think the industry is going to bounce back a lot this year. Some of those layoffs are, of course, due to efficiencies, and they did do some acquisitions in 2024. So again, it's unfortunate, but when you do acquisitions, they're going to be some redundant roles. So unfortunately, it does usually mean there's going to be a natural amount of layoffs taken into account. So that's, I think, part of the organic reason why they're doing layoffs as well. But yeah, I think we're going to be record oil production this year, and hopefully everyone is laid off, gets some jobs at one of the competitors, and not unemployed, for too long. So it'll be interesting to see how things go out for Chevron. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have the University of Michigan hiding their DEI, and also apparently spending $13.7 million on DEI payroll in a single year, which is a pretty penny, and a contributing factor of why out-of-state tuition is $60,000 a year. Jeez Louise. I thought it was expensive when I was in high school. Out-of-state was like $52,000 per year. And Iowa was a lot better, and they gave me a scholarship, so go Iowa Hawkeyes, because, yeah, much better ROI. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, in which he says, quote, University of Michigan caught rebranding their DEI team to, quote, community culture to outsmart Trump executives' order, take away their funding, which, yeah, the fact they have federal funding, I mean, most of these universities have billion-dollar endowments. University of Michigan is a premium school. They charge a premium price. Do they really need funding? Again, $60,000 per out-of-state student? Really? Jeez Louise. Now, here you see before the ban. And, I don't know, it also shows lazy web development. They literally just deleted, the paragraph. So, they contact the DEI team. It was a home diversity. It says, share an idea. If you are concerned about diversity, equity, or inclusion that impacts University of Michigan School of Nursing community, or just want to share an idea about support, you can contact Hala Darwish, the assistant dean for the community culture, directly, or submit our ideas to DEI suggestion box. If you'd rather remain anonymous, you can, but have something to say, you can call 1-800-SON-TALK and leave a message. I don't know why they name it that, SON Talk. They're not your dad. Weird. Now you see the first gal is Hala Darwish. He's assistant dean for community culture. Then have Patricia Coleman Burns. No relation to Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, I don't think. Her job title was DEI Strategic Planning Co-Lead. Sounds fancy. Now, Darwish is called Assistant Dean for Community Culture, but Patricia, she named Strategic Planning Co-Lead. So they literally just deleted the one word and the share the idea part, which pretty lazy. And yeah, I don't think Trump's going to fall for that, especially because, again, they still have jobs there. And this didn't go as far as I thought. Maybe it's because everyone's normalized and comes to the conclusion that, yeah, it's university, they probably already have it, which, yeah, it is kind of the de facto culture there. But it only got about 100,000 views, as well as 76,000 likes. Now, again, this is, End Wokeness says this is accredited to Aaron Sibrium. And his hashtag is Aaron Sibarium, who apparently found this out first. And then Free Speech USA said, your community culture team at University of Michigan, no wonder tuition is outrageous. And here, let me see how, can't zoom in too much to that graphic, but Let me see how many line items, how many jobs is that? Let's see here. Maybe 10, 20, 30 employees. No, 132 employees on staff for DEI at the University of Michigan. 132. Yeah, that's ridiculous. 132 jobs. Sorry, 142. Now, the top paying job of the 142 bureaucrats is, I'm not purposely trying to, say people's names wrong. People have weird names. I have no ground to stand on. My name is Topping, but her name is Sellers Tabai Shavios, or him, I don't know. They are Vice Provost, Department of Vice Provost, Equity and Inclusion, $380,000. For that much money, you could buy half of the state of Michigan. Well, okay, that's a little exaggerating. Half of the housing in Detroit. That's more accurate, actually. The second is $251,469 per year. That is Hanson Tomiko Kim, Special Advisor to the President. Department is Equity, Civil Rights, and Title IX Office. Third is Elizabeth Cole, Research Center, LSA, National Center for Institution Diversity, $211,000. Kimberly Burton is a Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Manager, College of Engineering, $201,000 per year. That's insane. And it's just so ridiculous. 142 jobs. And again, this is by no means unique to the University of Michigan. I'm sure a lot of schools are like this. Can't but wonder if their donation rate from alumni will ever decrease because of the result of these types of cultural actions that they keep taking. I suspect they will. We saw a big blowback when Harvard had the whole debacle last year. But yeah, that is just insane. 142 bureaucrats. Now, one of the most handsome of all replies, a little biased, so I'm going to say this is from the Topping Show, me. And I say, quote, laugh out loud. That's why they were going to charge me $55,000 a year for out-of-state tuition. And Free Speech USA, who has also credited, her hashtag is freespeech_1A. And she is the one who also tweeted or posted about the infographic or that had all the job titles as well as the job amounts and the individual names. And she got 60 likes and I got 3 likes. Paul Zazupa says, quote, these jokers only make things worse by trying to cover up their crimes, so silly gained 36 likes. Thomas says DEI is a Democrat excuse for attacking on honest people. Getting 11 likes. 50 Trump is a picture of an old-timey guy, and it says busted, getting 16 likes. Let's see. Valkyries for Women says, quote, this is exactly what Trump told them not to do, or they would be prosecuted and defunded. Game 15, 16 likes. Yep. American Sublime says, defund them now. I'm sick of this DEI crap, getting 16 likes. Also, stop having the government guarantee student loans, and you'd fix the problem overnight in terms of these high tuition rates. These schools have only incentive mechanisms to increase the cost of goods sold because they know these loans are guaranteed by the government no matter how useless the degrees are. Also, it'd be a lot less underwater lesbian basket weaving if the loan was not guaranteed. Because guess what kind of job you'll get after that? Barista, which there's nothing wrong with, but in terms of an ROI, paying off $250,000 loan with a barista degree is not easy. No, if it's for Michigan, if it's $60,000 per year, it's a 4-year degree. $240,000 for a bachelor's degree, which would take you how many years to pay off if you got a barista Starbucks job? Granted, Starbucks is a pretty good company. You got, healthcare options as well as, dental over there. And you get some free coffee. But realistically, it'll take you, 58 years to pay that off if you got a Starbucks job? Assuming you don't climb the corporate ladder. It's like, geez. And again, if they weren't guaranteed, the schools would only have valuable degrees. And obviously, yes, some degrees are better than others. Obviously, the ROI for a lawyer or doctor degree makes sense. That you'll probably get your money back and make a profit. But again, culture studies, politics, a lot of BS degrees, even business. I had a couple of great professors. I met some really good people and, great opportunity to meet folks and little networking. But I learned more in the first year starting the business than 4 years of being in school learning about business. And I was saddled with those stupid loans still, even with the scholarships. So it's like, in theory, I'll pay it off this year. I'm on that track to, pay it a little bit early, thankfully. But it's, ridiculous. And again, Trump said, don't do that. So we'll see if anyone's actually, gets any fines or prosecuted. And again, I'm pretty pessimistic how many of these things will actually get weeded out of these schools, these institutions, versus just a futile attempt to rebrand, as we saw here. Or in this case, they just deleted some stuff off the page. So I suspect it'll probably be done like this until there's actually brought to a court. And which at that point, I do think once you have a court case and it's actually being prosecuted, you will see a domino effect of people actually complying with the law. But we'll see. And hopefully college campuses will actually be diverse someday in terms of diverse of ideals. I mean, one of my favorite books is Brainwashed by Ben Shapiro. I had to check out the shelf. And he talks about the cultural institutions and colleges having, on average, the professors being 90+% liberal and leftist. Which, again, I would argue colleges are supposed to be a place where you debate ideals. I mean, shoot, that's what it should have been. That's what it was way long ago. We actually learn things. Philosophical discussions, brainstorming for new ideas, businesses. It wasn't just an indoctrination center. And it's unfortunately fallen much. It's fallen much like that. And Charlton Heston warned us about this decades ago. He was a former actor, but also head of the NRA back when the NRA actually, I would argue, did more fighting for gun rights. But yeah, hopefully things get better at college campuses culturally. But I'm a little pessimistic. But let me know. Do you think things will get better there anytime soon? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast, you have Elon's retweet of a grow a pair cure for liberalism going viral. This comes with thanks to Elon Musk, originally created by Amanda Memes, A+ for marketing. This is about a minute long, but hilarious. So obviously going to play it without further ado.
Have you been crying like a bitch over Elon Musk? Do you find yourself sobbing at the thought of your taxpayer-funded transgender basket weaving club losing its funding? You may be suffering from a common condition known as libtardism-induced meltdown. But don't worry, there's help. Introducing Grow a Pair, the revolutionary prescription solution designed to help you accept reality. With just one dose a day, you'll start to understand that tax dollars aren't meant for gender numeral electric vehicle startups in Vietnam. After taking Grow a Pair, you may notice life-changing improvements, such as smaller man boobs, the ability to fund your own transgender basket weaving without relying on Uncle Sam, and a newfound indifference to the defunding of the U.S. Department of Slope Sidewalk Studies. Grow a Pair won't solve all your problems, but it can help you stop fixating on who's going to pay for DEI pudding packs in Cambodia.
Side effects may include dry mouth, increased common sense, employment, smaller man boobs, and lower taxes.
Ask your doctor if Grow a Pair is right for you, because adulting is hard, but it doesn't have to be. Have you?
Priceless. We got about 17.8 million views and 234,000 likes. Well, the first comment comes from Sassafras84 saying, quote, libtard-induced meltdown is a picture of Chuck Schumer crying and says, not a single one of these assholes is screaming about corrupt misuse of our tax dollars at USAID. They are only screaming about Trump-appointed Musk exposing it being shut down. That alone is all you need to see about the Democrat Party. Never forget this, getting 1.8 thousand likes. Planet of Memes, A+, he did in fact respond in meme form. Usually a 50-50 shot. They just use text. It could be a little disappointing, but in this case, they did well. He says, there's a picture of Mr. Bean and it says, quote, a million people are whining about Doge telling on them, yet not a single one of them has accused Doge of lying. Getting 358, so we get 359 likes. Planet Memes, A++, 2 memes. We are blessed today. And when she says accurate, he has a little chart, and his XY chart, and it says amount of liberal outrage on the x-axis, and on the y-axis, it says amount of corruption, and they have a little cute Doge. It says Doge outrage corruption curve. Got 207 likes. Anti-woke memes, A+ did it. They also did in fact respond us with meme form. It says, why are liberals like this? And there's a crying Karen. It says, quote, liberals living with lower taxes, safer cities, cheaper groceries, and no threat of nuclear war. And then this liberal is saying, this is miserable. In 373. Fact check, wrong. It actually should be them saying, this is tyranny or fascism, which is some of their favorite words. Paul Zupa says this is amazing, getting 57 likes. Anti-woke memes also has a picture of Teddy Roosevelt with an alleged quote saying to anger a conservative, lie to him. To anger a liberal, tell him the truth. They got 1,000 likes. American Papa Bear says, AOC is in love with Elon, getting 94 likes. Based Electrician says, quote, wow, AOC really wants to get her hands on those hairy balls. And it's a screenshot of some video of AOC with their hands in the air, getting 24 likes. Donna Marie has was like a at-home TDS test or Trump derangement system test. It says the most sensitive test on the market today. It says, screeching, crying, delusions, extreme hate, rage, inability to tolerate opinions. It says 99% accuracy, as reliable as used by doctors and hospitals. Got 75 likes. Anti-left memes also says LOL and has a picture of the iconic John Wayne, who, fun fact of the day, was a proud Iowan. Go Duke. He says, well, I'll try his voice. It'll be, it might be the worst John Wayne impression, but the attempt will be made, damn it. He says, I love liberal tears crying in the morning. Yeah, it wasn't great. Nevertheless, got 264 likes. Not me, but that. Someone by the name of Mac Truck says she's such an idiot. In this picture of AOC, it's a meme from Turning Point USA saying, quote, if money doesn't grow on trees, why do banks have branches? Getting 221 likes. I also have a picture from Perkle's a Great. And it's a picture of Biden. It says, fake votes, fake polls, fake news, fake president, getting 635 likes. Ricardo has a picture of some, picture of some speakers. It says in North Korea, people are forced to listen to propaganda. Then it says in the USA, people are willing to do it willingly, or people do it willingly. And there's a picture of the logos of CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, CBS getting 189 likes. Let's see. Mojo Resin says crazy commie. It's all of the communists in history with googly eyes, and then AOC getting 87 likes. Desiree says libtard-induced meltdown. Elon is living rent-free in their heads. Then there's the cute little Doge emoji, a little Doge cartoon. It says the Department of Government Efficiency getting 210 likes. Let's see here. Abe Robo says, then again, it says, I didn't elect him starting pack. There's Bill Gates, George Soros, Charles Schwab, George Soros' son, Fauci, Mark Zuckerberg. Getting 164 likes. Yep. And there's a couple more pictures of Elon going into the Twitter headquarters with a cartoon of Harry balls instead of the sink. One more. Trump Army says true, and it's a picture of meme of Don Draper. Says, I haven't seen liberals this upset since yesterday, getting 414 likes. Quite a bit. Yeah, pretty funny. We'll see if United States make America rational again. Could that be a thing? We'll see. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, the federal government might buy armored Teslas for their fleet. Now, this comes to us thanks to thedrive.com, which they say, quote, the feds want to give Tesla $400 million for armored cars. The 2025 State Department procurement forecast includes $400 million for armored production Teslas, which, again, if you actually look at the Excel sheet that's attached, to the government website, which no one really reads, it does have their name of Tesla, but in terms of is this, scheduled to be bought today, it's still in the exploration, part of the procurement cycle. So eventually they'll put out an RFP or request for price, and all of the companies that qualify can bid on it. I mean, any government contract, with exception of, Bush giving no bid contracts to Halliburton. But most government contracts, they just open up to the bid process. Now, in terms of ROI, we'll see. I mean, an armored car for under $100K is pretty rare. Now, it'll be really interesting to see what the standards are when the RFP comes out in terms of what calibers does it need to be resistant to. Because remember, there's no such thing as bulletproof, just bullet resistant. From the factory, very impressive, the Tesla Cybertruck, although a boring platform or drivetrain since it's not manual transmission with 3 pedals, but nevertheless, it's actually bullet resistant for small arms. Small caliber pistols, 22 long rifle, 380 ACP, 9mm. However, once you get into high speed, rifles, which smaller bullets usually, but higher velocity, that's when they intend to punch through the holes. With the odds of going through the city of Chicago, probably a lot of small caliber bullets, a lot of 9mm. Might be good for enough for the city of Chicago, but I mean, if the requirement it needs to be 7.62x39 or 50 BMG bullet resistant, that's when you're gonna have to add extra armor, like AR-15 or AR-500 armor, or the traditional materials, which that would be a pretty penny on top of the factory price. Then you need to retrofit it traditionally, the companies that win these contracts, many of them will take a production vehicle, strip out everything from it internally, give it a bigger engine, bigger brakes, basically overhauling the powertrain because the added weight is a lot, to say the least. It is quite literally armor and one of the heaviest, densest materials out there. Now, diving specifically in the article by Brian Hurd, they say, quote, a 2025 procurement forecast posted by the United States Department's website indicates that the agency wants to buy a fleet of armored production Tesla vehicles, totaling an estimate of $400 million. The budget did not include any details about the proposed number of vehicles or how it might further augment the State Department's service. According to the department's website, 2025 forecast was updated in December during the transition. Now, they also say we have found a line item, a copy of the forecast uploaded by the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization, aka, and they say aka the Department of Big Bailout. Don't believe us? Read their own statement. They say Public Law 100-656, the Business Opportunity Development Reform Act of 1988, amended the Small Business Act to place new emphasis on acquisition planning. The law requires agencies to compile and make available projects and contracting opportunities small and disadvantaged business firms may be able to perform. They also have the hub zone for small businesses. It also serves disabled veterans. Now, let's see here. Actually, I think there's a video of the 50 cal. This would be.
Today we're going to see how bullet resistant the Cybertruck really is, since nothing is
Pulling up here. I forgot at what point it's no longer bullet resistant.
And our third contestant is Jacob, and
Yeah.
there we go. This was the 9 not go through.
Each want the 50. Yeah, bullets. Yeah, pistols don't go do it. I'm curious about the 50.
That 223 is moving so much
Oh
faster.
yeah, even the 223 or 556 the NATO most standard round is the AR-15 is all about. Yeah, that just punched right through it because it's going way too fast. Now, again, that's just from the factory, which in terms of ROI, if they just needed small bullet resistance, I think that'd be great. Also, depending on what's the life cycle for these fleets in terms of obviously long distance driving or towing. These things are crap, but these things are only strolling around the city. And you get the Cybertruck for sub 100,000 compared to a traditional armored car, which is like 250 plus, $250,000 plus or more. That's when this actually makes business sense. Which, plus I don't know. To me, it's a weird, quirky design, but I'm crazy. I think the Cybertruck is kind of growing on me. Now, they say that, quote, according to the New York Times, however, the State Department may be contracting with aftermarket outfitter Armor Max to handle the job, as happens with many manufacturers that supply the government with armored vehicles. In fact, the forecast also includes entries for armored vehicles provided by BMW and two other nameless manufacturers simply labeled as sedan and not sedan, which it sounds like a government label to me. Sedan, not sedan, which it's like kind of like me when I have my socket wrenches or socket adapters. I have American and not American in the tool room. Now they say that the projected budgets for both are significantly smaller at $50 million for the BMW SUVs and $40 million for two of the mysterious companies. Let's see here. Now they say, quote, at this rate, the Trump administration could expand the U.S. government's electric fleet significantly, much more than what voters expected. Just 2 months ago, Trump's transition team suggested they would seek to overturn the 2023 spending package that earmarked funds for adoption of EVs by a postal service fleet, which, yeah, that's been a debacle of crap in and of itself. When you look at Oshkosh's production capabilities, they're supposed to be pumping out like 13 to 20 a day. It's about 1. Yeah, so they're not doing great. They're really good at making armored cars, actually armored vehicles in off-road. They basically replaced the Humvee. But yeah, Oshkosh trying to make the funny, weird-looking postal car, not a fan of. Now, you see that so far, apologies. So far, the administration seems to be going the other way. Just days after the transition was announced, U.S. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy said that the Postal Service would continue to purchase and its mandate to electrify, absent new spending instructions from Congress. The stands are tied. They say the transition is expected to cost taxpayers $9.7 billion. Sorry, $6 billion. Jesus Louise. Which, at least we got a good ROI about those old Grumman ones. I mean, the iconic, postal trucks that we've seen for decades has been the same. They've been around forever. That's pretty good ROI. That's what you can get out of a gas engine and gas platform. You can get decades of life service. Downside about Teslas and EVs in general is the battery degradation. Maybe you'll get some good luck out of 10 years, but like think of the last batch of actual postal trucks we've seen. Those lasted decades. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, it's just earmarked. We'll see what the actual price is per unit and which other companies bid for it. But it's interesting to see that would dramatically revolutionize the government fleet. And again, depending on the ROI and how long they usually keep their armored cars for and the bullet resistance level they need, this could make business sense. I'm kind of split in terms of they're hard. Yeah, I don't know. They'd be hard to maintain in terms of Tesla would have to upspend basically, well, an in-house division just for this project. And if they add all the extra weight to it, everything starts to wear out even more. It's not another real possibility. It'll be interesting to see what the government does from this. And let me know, do you think this, and I think this only makes sense with the Cybertruck. Because again, if you do any other vehicle, the weight will get so prohibitive and they're not already bullet resistant. So again, if it was like one of the Tesla model, S's or Y's or what they call them these days, or the E's, I mean, the added weight at that point would be so prohibitive, it'd be like a rock. I think this only makes sense with the Cybertruck because that's the one that's bullet resistant from the factory for small pistol calibers. That's where I think it makes this business sense the most. That's where I think the proposal will be. But let me know your thoughts because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have rope being recalled because it may fray or break, much to the detriment of Hillary Clinton, who, interestingly enough, has had... actually, no, I should clarify. Hillary Clinton is very beautiful, intelligent, not corrupt at all. She's not had, 28 people around her mysteriously commit suicide, and not all evil or corrupt. She's a very brilliant, intelligent woman. Not at all evil and causing suicides. For the record, I should say, I don't own any rope at this moment, and I plan to live a long, fulfilled, happy life. A very happy, long life. And I'm in good health. Just coincidentally, I want to throw that out there today. Now, diving into the article, this is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, which they say, quote, Set Smart rope gets a recall. No, this is a terrible name for marketing. Set Smart recalls low guest climbing ropes due to fall hazard. It's the worst marketing I've ever heard of. Set Smart, okay. Low guest, LOGEST. Even if I'm butchering it, that is just one of the worst names I ever heard in terms of business. That's kind of for me. Topping. Nevertheless, here you can see a picture of one of those funny looking ropes there. Now, they note that, you even got their fancy logo on it. Oh, that's fancy. There you go. Now they say, the recalled climbing ropes were made of hemp. What? All the people for decades have told me that's a magical substance that can never possibly break. It does everything, we're told. Now say, again, they're made from hemp, and they were sold in 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 50-foot lengths. The low guest, picky high fancy, climbing rope and carabiner had a silver D ring and silver climbing carabiner attached. The Leguest climbing rope with heavy-duty metal hook had a blue stripe running along the brown hemp rope and had one end with a black metal hook attached with 2 silver bolts and nuts. Both ropes have the Leguest written in large white font on the black plastic at the end of the ropes, which if you're a climbing aficionado or a rope aficionado and you know how to pronounce it properly, put that vernacular in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. They say that consumers should immediately stop using the climbing ropes, uninstall them, and register for a full refund at www.lowguestroperecall.com. Consumers will receive a form to sign as part of a disposal of the climbing ropes. Consumers must follow the disposal directions on the form and email a photo of the disposed rope to, again, lowguestrecall@gmail.com, which, interesting, you're not supposed to use that for business, but nevertheless, they are, to receive their refund. Full refunds will be issued via Amazon to the original form of payment processed with the order. Amazon is also contacting all purchasers directly. Now, unfortunately, it's people have actually been hurt from this. Not in the good way. Now, they say, quote, Leguest has received 13 reports of recalled ropes breaking, including one report of a fall that resulted in a severe spinal cord injury, which not good. Now, they say, quote, these are sold online at Amazon.com from March 2021 to November 2024 for between, Jesus Louise. What's wrong with the Home Depot rope? I guess it's not fancy, made out of hemp. These are sold between $20 and $70. Jesus Louise. And they're manufactured in China with a recall number of 25-130. Again, the recall number is 25-130. And they're sold, the importer is Set Smart LLC of Brooklyn in New York which, not great. And again, it blows my mind when you have recalls where the product doesn't do the one thing it's supposed to do, which, again, this is supposed to be a climbing rope, apparently, and it can't do the one thing it's designed to do. So I'm not sure who's in charge of the quality assurance department, especially when, again, a lot of these are in those silly things called the CrossFit gyms where people go crazy and bounce off the walls left and right. This is already in a high-risk gym environment, and you're climbing up, I'm not saying hundreds of feet, a couple dozen feet maybe in the air. I mean, I'm not sure who's in charge of the quality assurance department, but I would think, ideally, you would want to overstress it at the factory in terms of testing. You would want to test, how much is American weight these days? 500 pounds. So you'd want to test these rope with a 500, maybe 1,000 pounds dummy, to really make sure it is beyond all, it is 110% safe. And yet they clearly didn't, and literally people are falling. In one case, they have spinal injury, which is heartbreaking, life-changing for that individual. Now, thankfully with modern medicine and, great doctors, therapeutics, and surgeries, hopefully they make a full recovery. But still, a life-changing event, possibly, because they didn't check the rope for safety and they didn't check the tensile strength. That is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not sure who's in charge of their supposed quality assurance department. But I gotta say, Le Guest, your climbing rope and your company is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make sure better and better. Don't forget, first Q&A live stream is going to be February 22nd, 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it Central time. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your enemies, heck, tell your coworkers, tell everyone, just stay safe and fight the good fight.